live from the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios.
Second pass goes to Hannafin, left point. Hannafin shoots. Tipped on. Hurdle to save. Rebound, score! Rasmus Anderson!
This is the VGK Insiders Show.
And now you've got the extracurriculars. Kane is out there. Sisson's into it. Rozon's going after Carlson. And the linesmen doing their best to restrain everybody.
With Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace.
Barbashev trying to get a step. He got whacked on the stick. Put it in front. Theodore scores!
On Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Welcome into the Vegas Golden Knights Insider Show. Fox Sports Las Vegas. Ryan Wallace hanging out inside TI, Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar. Darren Millard, he's at Studio 31, and Jared Justice is inside the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios. Richard Harris Law Firm, where they've won billions for their clients with their less fee guarantee. Happy game day. How we doing, boys?
Well, it's pretty good. The Golden Knights are in Vancouver, the lower mainland, as we call it as Canadians, and there may not be a friendlier environment in the National Hockey League for both the Golden Knights and the other 30 teams in the NHL. Vancouver's won 8 times at home all year.
Jeez.
They're on their way to their worst home record in franchise history. They've been around since 1972. They may not reach double digits in home victories, which works to the Golden Knights' advantage, and Vegas has been lights out at Rogers Arena over the course of their existence. So try to keep that going tonight. 5 games left. We're inside the final 5 as of tonight, and the Golden Knights beginning this stretch, 1 point out of first place in the Pacific Division, and this is another one of those very influential nights on the National Hockey League schedule. Anaheim is in action. They are hosting the Nashville Predators, and the Edmonton Oilers are on the road against Utah. The top 3 teams in the Pacific are all playing tonight. What kind of shuffling will we see? And this is a must for Vegas. When you've got 5 games left and you're a point behind, you're still chasing and would potentially need some help. Like, it's not all, destiny's not all in your own hands right now, but you pick up a win tonight and maybe some help, and it might go your way with the Ducks struggling and Edmonton on the road against a Utah club that is trying to secure its first playoff position in Salt Lake.
Yeah, I mean, the reality of the situation is the Golden Knights ought to beat the Vancouver Canucks. Now, that's not necessarily a situation where you can count your chickens before they hatch, but this is a game for the Vegas Golden Knights to win. And if you take care of business and you get some help, you could end the day in first place in the Pacific Division. Everybody would have played the same amount of games, Edmonton, Anaheim, and Vegas. And at that point, you do control your own destiny. So a lot riding on this night for the Vegas Golden Knights in handling their business against Vancouver.
And it doesn't matter how they get it, whether it's regulation, overtime, or a shootout. The tiebreaker is going against them right now. So just pick up the points and try to accumulate as much as you can, and hopefully you're clear of the competition going into tonight. We are going to have a couple of tweaks to the Golden Knights lineup tonight. Ben Hutton is projected to go in on defense. It'll be his 3rd game in the last 9, so starting to get him some reps as they head down the stretch.
Yeah, which I think is important. Obviously, we know Ben Hutton has been, the type of player that has been able to kind of come in seamlessly into the lineup. But, I think with John Tortorella at the helm, you kind of want to see what you've got in the player. You want to see him with some of the tweaks and to find that mindset that Torts is looking for. And it doesn't hurt to have a couple of games under Ben's belt as you gear up toward the playoffs. You don't want him to sit too long, so it makes a lot of sense in my book.
Yeah, an opportunity to play for Torts. Brandon Saad has been there before. He played for Torts in Columbus, but he's also expected, like Ben Hutton, to slide into the lineup tonight as Riley Smith comes out. Just a little roster management as they go down in the final 5 games, but an opportunity to face the 32nd ranked team. Now, you're not taking it easy. You're not taking your foot off the gas, but you are putting in a couple of guys that haven't played a lot lately. You'd like to get them some reps, and they're not young guys. You're not just getting them in to get them in. They're veteran hockey players that should know the magnitude of the situation.
Yeah, again, you never know how deep you're going to have to go in the playoffs, and you do want to get those reps. And it is an opportunity, even though, as you mentioned, Brandon Saad has played for John Tortorella, it is an opportunity for Torts to get his eyes on Saad inside of this lineup with this complement of players to see what he's able to bring to the table. So, I think that it's not just changing things for the sake of changing things. I do believe that from Torts' perspective, you want to get as much information as you can about the players that you have available to you as you get closer to the playoffs to know exactly what your best lineup will be come game one.
Yeah, Vegas can make a little bit of internal history tonight. John Tortorella is coaching his fourth game. Mm-hmm. No Vegas coach has ever started 4-0. Gerard Gallant and Bruce Cassidy both won their first three, but that's where the streak stopped. And tonight, John Tortorella can rip off his fourth win in 4 tries, and we've seen the impact in how he wants this team to play. They've got better every game, from the Vancouver contest in his debut, which was the quick turnaround, to the contest against Calgary, in which they scored 6 goals, and then the rivalry game in which they did make a statement to the Pacific Division in beating the Edmonton Oilers, and were really fast in that game with chances off the rush. And the last 2 games, they've been double digits for chances off the rush, and the previous 4, they weren't close to 10 or more. So you've seen a different level to the pace that the Vegas Golden Knights are playing at in the first 3 games. They'd love to see that continue against a Vancouver Canucks squad that is simply playing out the string right now. And for Vegas, it's the closest thing we've seen to a trap game in a long time. Vegas hasn't been in a situation where you could say it fits the trap game scenario, because Vegas has been struggling to get their own traction, and they've had it at times, and then they've taken a step back. But there's been no real situations since before the Olympic break where you could say, well, this, you got to worry about not being ready tonight because the other team could take advantage of you, because Vegas has been just as desperate as every other opposition up until tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point in the sense that, you win 3 games in a row. You're feeling good about where your game is at. You are gaining that traction. It does feel like this team has more swagger about them. They've found that confidence that had been elusive at various times this season. So it does feel like this is a game where, you have to be wary of who it is you are playing against, and you cannot take Vancouver lightly or for granted, because while the Golden Knights are playing better, while the Golden Knights are getting the results, they still need 2 points in this game. They're not as maybe desperate as they were a week ago, but they're important 2 points, and important 2 points to put in the bank for Vegas.
The good news for the Golden Knights, and there's a pretty good foundation of good news going into this game. Because of the historical record of Vegas in Vancouver, the performance of the Canucks at home this year. Then added to that is the Canucks goaltending situation. Kevin Lankinen is out. Don't believe he's going to dress tonight, and Thatcher Demko is ruled out for the rest of the season. Vancouver has a total of 24 games NHL experience between the 2 goaltenders that are going to dress tonight. Tolopilo is probably going to start. Yuri Patera expected to back up tonight, the former Golden Knight netminder. So there's an opportunity to take advantage of a little inexperience in this game.
And, I guess that's kind of where I come down on the idea that this is a game the Golden Knights ought to win. Like, when you factor in where this team is right now and how confidently they are playing, you've got to find a way to come away with 2 points, especially highlighting, how dismal of a season it has been for Vancouver. It has been a tough go for that team this year. You don't want them to kind of look at this game and say, let's get something. Let's feel good about ourselves leaving the arena tonight. Let's take it to the Golden Knights. For Vegas, and it kind of goes back to something that John Tortorella mentioned yesterday, be the team that dictates the pace at which this game is going to be played. Be on the front foot and take it to the Vancouver Canucks.
Got a lot to get to over the next couple of hours. We will chat with Danny Webster, the beat writer for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. He covers the Vegas Golden Knights on a daily basis. Get his thoughts as he joins us for his regular Tuesday visit. And then the Frozen Four is coming up later on this week over at T-Mobile Arena. The NCAA Championship, and it's Michigan against Denver and University of North Dakota, UND, hooking up with Wisconsin. And Dave Starman is going to join us. He's part of the radio broadcast on Westwood One, and you can hear the semifinals on 12:30 the game on Thursday, and over on Raider Nation Radio on Saturday. So we have it covered from the Frozen Four perspective over at T-Mobile Arena. So we'll get to both those topics with Webster and Starman in just a little bit. But on the Golden Knights side of it, it's as close to normal, what we consider to be normal with the Vegas Golden Knights, where you got a wagon and you're scoring lots of goals. You're playing good defense. You got that swagger. What they've been able to do over the last 3 games has been impressive, and there's different influences to how they've gone about scoring all these goals. But just want to focus on the blue line right now. 2 of the 3 games, they've had multiple defensemen score goals. That's impressive. That's an uptick in what they've been able to do. But, the last 5 games that they've played, so this has been building a little bit even before Torts, the most points by defensemen in a 5-game span all year. So if you feel like they're scoring more and they're putting up more points, that's a reality. It's happening.
Mm-hmm. No, it absolutely is. I mean, I think you look at what the Golden Knights D has been able to do with John Tortorella at the helm, and they've been able to activate more in the offensive zone. I think you're really seeing that with Rasmus Andersson. Now, that was probably coming anyway, because as Rasmus has gotten more and more comfortable, you're seeing those layers of his game really come to the forefront. But the fact that the Golden Knights are able to get up the ice quicker, that they're trying to push that pace a little bit more, that they're trying to utilize their defense more in the offensive zone and continuing to find those avenues, I think is incredibly important. Like Jeremy Lauzon's goal, he jumps into the rush and he's an option. Shea Theodore scores a goal where, again, he's part of the rush game up the ice for the Golden Knights and being aggressive. So if that's what you have to look for from the Golden Knights moving forward under John Tortorella, it's going to be really fun to be an offensive-minded defenseman for the Vegas Golden Knights with Torts at the helm.
The other side of it is up front. We know that Mitch Marner has been going. The 5-point night followed up with more production against the Edmonton Oilers. But it feels like it's quietly happening. But Jack Eichel's on one of those heaters right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think for Jack, the playmaking is always there. When it comes to Jack, I think that it's more, you use the word quietly on a heater, and that's fair. But I think when you want to see Jack moving in the right direction, it's goal scoring, it's production that way. But 3 points in his last game, I thought he was absolutely dynamite. The play that he makes to open the scoring for the Golden Knights, getting around, a defenseman, very similar to a goal that was scored against the Golden Knights by Calgary. Just really smart plays. And, I think for Jack, it becomes louder when he's the one putting the puck in the back of the net. But right now, it's the playmaking ability of Jack Eichel that's jumping out to me.
Well, you look at what he's been able to do. 3 points the last game. He's got points in 2 of his last 3, and then you go back farther than that. He's got points in 4 of his last 5. So he's turned a corner in the same sentence or same theme as the Golden Knights offense has turned a corner, and it's probably no coincidence that your best player, your highest point producer, has hit the positive spin on his play, just like the offense in general.
Well, I mean, 15 goals in 3 games is tremendous production from the Golden Knights, and I think in a lot of ways, right, you need your best players to kind of drive you in that regard. And as much as you're getting balanced production as much as you're getting production from, up and down your lineup. It's still the bedrock of this team is, Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, Mitch Marner. Those are your drivers offensively. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Vegas has put 15 goals on the board and you're getting more steady, consistent play, more steady, consistent production from the likes of Mitch Marner and Jack Eichel and Mark Stone.
Expecting Jack Eichel to play with Brett Howden and Pavel Dorofeev tonight, or start that way, and Mitch Marner centering Ivan Barbashev and Mark Stone. But we saw the old number one line at spurts in the Edmonton game, and Tortorella has been unafraid to load up coming out of TV timeouts. So saw that a lot against the Calgary Flames before they went on the road, and then being able to just dance back and forth with Jack Eichel playing a shift here and there with Mark Stone and Ivan Barbashev. It's very fluid up front through the course of a game.
Yeah, I like the fact that Torts will go to a bit of a super line at times. I like the fact that he will kind of oscillate. He'll bounce back and forth between Eichel.
Which one's the super line?
The super line is Jack Eichel, Mitch Marner, and Mark Stone.
Because the other one's a pretty good line with Barbashev, Stone, and Eichel.
I agree with you. I mean, it's loading up all three, right? Like, again, if those are your three drivers, loading them up to me is the super line. But I like the fact that, through that combination of six players, Torts has three different lines that he can go to in different situations, different scenarios. If he's looking to kind of change things up or get a spark or whatever the case may be, I think it's a good thing to kind of have things change and be fluid over the course of a game, because it just breaks it up a little bit. And the Golden Knights have been able to gain traction off of some of those shifts, especially those shifts where they've been able to load up Marner, Eichel, and Stone.
This to me is a professional challenge tonight to the Vegas Golden Knights. You've got a team that's trying to reel in first place in the Pacific Division and win the division for the fifth time in 9 or 8 tries, because there wasn't a Pacific Division in one of those years. So that's incredible to be able to win it 5 times in 8 years. The other team tonight is the worst team in the National Hockey League, and that's not an insult. That's statistically what the Vancouver Canucks are right now. They've got 1 win in their last 9 games. Now, that 1 win was against the best team in the National Hockey League in the Colorado Avalanche. So if you need a warning or a reminder at what could possibly happen, just look at that 8-6 win by Vancouver a week ago in Denver. But everything else points towards a Golden Knights victory. You got to just make sure that it happens that way. You try to carry over some of those details that you've developed over the last 3 games, but also bring some of that jam, some of that intensity, some of that drive that we saw out of the Edmonton game.
Yeah, I mean, I think a professional atmosphere or a professional mindset is probably the right one in this instance. Now, that all being said, I don't think it's a bad thing to kind of manufacture the emotion in this one. The Vancouver Canucks are not going to have the same type of intensity than what we got out of the Edmonton Oilers over the weekend. It's just not going to be that way. However, for the Golden Knights, if they're dictating pace, if they are playing to that intensity that we have seen from them over the last couple of games, that might bring it out a little bit of Vancouver. And as the game wears on, maybe they are dragged into the fight a bit and it becomes a little bit more intense. But, for me, the take-home message of this game is very simple. I don't really care how it happens. It doesn't really matter how it happens. 2 points in the bank. That's what you want if you're the Golden Knights coming out of this one, and that's really what you've got to do. Whether it's a professional game, whether you bring some jam to the table, it doesn't really matter. Just get 2 points.
Yeah, I call it like it would be a professional win. By the way, the first tiebreaker is regulation wins. If it gets to that, Edmonton has 30, RWs right now. They hold the advantage over the Vegas Golden Knights, who are 3 off that pace, 5 games to go. So that's a bit of a hole, and Anaheim is not going to catch either team. So that's the case. Edmonton holds the tiebreaker against both Anaheim and the Vegas Golden Knights. Let's take a break. We'll come back with Danny Webster, get his thoughts ahead of this game. A Pacific Division outing one more time, and Vegas has been good inside the division again this year. It's the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Hockey. Noun. Webster's dictionary defines hockey as a game played on an ice rink by 2 teams of 6 players on skates, whose object is to drive a puck into the opponent's goal with the hockey stick. It's time to talk to Webster. Danny Webster, that is.
The VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas. He is the beat writer for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Danny Webster, who joins us every Tuesday. So 5 games left. What does Vegas have to do points-wise to win the Pacific Division?
Points-wise?
Would 7 out of 10 do it?
Yeah, I think so. I think 7 out of 10 would be a decent number, especially if Anaheim is still banged up. If Edmonton is still kind of up and down the last little bit, I could see 7 out of 10 being a good barometer there.
It's a
So
sprint.
will they?
Let me think. 2 against Seattle, 1 against Vancouver, Winnipeg. I can see it. I think it's possible, yeah.
When it comes to easiest schedule remaining, talking about strength of schedule, Los Angeles has the easiest schedule. Then it's San Jose, so they're battling for a playoff spot. That's a head-to-head matchup. San Jose's got a game in hand. But of Anaheim, Edmonton, and Vegas, the Golden Knights have the easiest schedule. Now, by a slimmest of margin, they have the 4th easiest schedule in the National Hockey League. Anaheim is 5th, and Edmonton is 7th. So no real big difference there for strength of schedule.
Yeah, not a real difference there, but you like to think with the way that the teams are constructed right now, and on top of Vegas playing well right now, and obviously with finding a renewed confidence under John Tortorella, you'd like to think that that would push them a little bit further. But, I mean, like I said, the schedule is favorable to where if the Golden Knights continue to play the way that they've been doing so, you would like to think that 7 out of 10 in these final 5 games would be doable.
He's our hockey librarian, Danny Webster, with us on the VGK Insider Show. What's impressed you the most about the 3 wins under John Tortorella?
I think just the fact that they've been able to, one, play the same way that they've been playing, but at the same time, it seems like they're taking it to another level each game. Like you saw, the first period against Vancouver last week was a little bit hit and miss, but obviously they go down 1-0. They fall behind 2-1 in the second period, but they still get to their game, and eventually they're able to pull away in the way that they did. And then when you look at the game on that Thursday against Calgary, they pretty much controlled play for the entirety of it. They trailed again, but they got to their game quicker. They got to their game in the second period, dominated on the forecheck, dominated down low, and they were able to win puck battles and eventually pull away from that one. And then on Saturday against a team that, you know, there is their rival, but at the same time, they're down 2 of their top goal scorers. You would pretty much expect the Golden Knights to go into Edmonton with the way that roster is currently banged up and continue to put the pressure on, and they absolutely did. They pretty much, I wouldn't say dominate the first period, but they got the first goal. Carter Hart did enough to keep the puck out of his own net. The defense did enough to play well in front of him, and it allowed the Golden Knights to continue their game plan and find a way to build that lead into the second period. So it's more so, one, they've been able to do the same thing they've been doing, but also doing it consistently, which has been a problem the last little bit. So I would say the biggest thing that's impressed me is they've been getting to their game, and they've been able to build off of it each period of each game.
You know, obviously the word that Torts has come back to over and over and over again for the Golden Knights is pace. He wants to see this team aggressive. He wants to see them playing fast. When you start to kind of examine the last 3 games, where are you observing and noticing that shift the most?
I think it's through the neutral zone and it's into the offensive zone. I think the way that they've been able to have this mentality of playing north, I think has really generated, like, you saw before the coaching change, they were starting to get pucks on net. They were starting to generate some traffic, but it wasn't to the extent of, okay, put pucks on net and just aggressively attack. I think they're getting rid of the east-west plays a lot, which I've kind of noticed over the last little bit. It's more so if you're working from low to high, you're going to immediately put the puck on the net, but you're also going to just attack with the mindset that you're going to put faces in front of the goaltender. You're going to put faces in front of the areas where they really haven't been able to get a lot of bodies in. And so far, I think that's been working. And you're starting to see that in the goals that they've scored. You look at the Calgary game, you got goals coming in from, 10 feet in. So maybe they weren't getting those opportunities early on, but now they're starting to do so. They're starting to be more aggressive. They're starting to get the mindset of, that attack mindset that they really didn't have the last little bit, and it's starting to work in their favor. And when you are generating so much offensively, it's going to work its way back out, and they've been able to play very solid defensively, and it's allowed Carter Hart the last two starts to really get comfortable and find his game as he continues to find his rhythm back to a full-time workload here.
I should point out Carter Hart out-goaltended Connor Hingram the other night. That was not a 5-1 game in the analytics. Yeah. Carter Hart was very good. That was a goalie win for the Vegas Golden Knights. And what really has jumped out to me, guys, is their defense is more involved, more impactful in how they're affecting the pace of the game. They're going north quickly, either by working the puck out of the zone, passing it, or by skating it up ice. But they're not cheating. They're not stretching the ice. They're not going for the 80-foot pass. The forwards have been very detailed in their puck support, in being outlets and options for the defense. And this is as in tune and in sync as we've seen the Golden Knights in transition all season long, Danny.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think part of that, too, is that when you look at how you have a bunch of defensemen on this team that like to put up points, right? So that means that they want to be engaged in the play. Well, when you take away one of those options off the power play, you go to a 5-forward unit and you don't really allow for those offensive-minded defensemen to really get into the play unless they're coming in on the second unit, which, has definitely done a lot of damage, but it hasn't been you're not going to be out there for a long period of time. But if you're able to get involved in the play and you're able to do your damage at 5-on-5 and you feel like that you're able to contribute, then it's going to trickle in every part of it. It's going to trickle in how you get the puck up to the forwards. It's going to impact how you're able to play in the offensive zone. So I think the fact that Torts has come in with this mindset of the defensemen not only need to drive and attack, but also use your offensive instincts to at least put yourself in the play. And I think that's what you're starting to see a little bit more of over the last little bit. And I think that's gotten the defensemen engaged. And when you get those guys engaged offensively, it allows them to feel like that they're part of the play. When they're part of the play, then obviously it's going to impact the way that they play the entirety of the 200 feet on the ice. So I think the fact that they've been able to be as engaged as they have been, and Rasmus Anderson has kind of talked about it a little bit. Noah Hannifin's talked about it a little bit, that they're getting more opportunities, I think, as far as driving the play and allowing the puck to get to the forwards and let them do what they want to do, use their legs, use their speed. I think that's helped out a great deal for them.
All right, Danny, I want to zero in on goaltending. Carter Hart starts 2 consecutive games coming off of the injury. As Darren pointed out, he was excellent against the Edmonton Oilers. Very, very good outing for Carter. Aiden Hill's last game came against Vancouver. It was a victory, a nice performance from Aiden. 5 games left. Ideal split in your eyes? What is it?
It's a very good question, and I wish I had an ideal answer. Obviously, I think it helps that Carter has that familiarity with Torts. I think that's part of it. One, he's trying to get him back up to speed, but 2, trying to get, an understanding of where his game is at after 3 months off. At the same time, you obviously don't want your $6 million+ goaltender to be riding the pine for as long as as possible going down in these 5 games. I think depending on how it looks, I mean, like I said, Carter played really well on Saturday. He made the saves necessary against a team that did not have 2 of their top goal scorers. And I think that was definitely, a game that, 1, he needed, 2, the Golden Knights needed as far as a defensive mindset game. I think it would not shock me if it goes 3-2 Aiden, because I feel like you need to get Aiden some reps at some point down the stretch. You at least know what you're getting out of him going into the playoffs. Regular season set aside, we've seen what Aiden has been able to do in 3 postseasons now. I think that it's not going to be lost on me if Carter does get the lion's share down the road here. It would not shock me, but I do think ultimately at the end of the day, even if it doesn't start tonight, I think you look at 3 of the next 5, I think, go to Aiden just because you do not want him on the bench for too long. So I wish I had an ideal answer for that. I still don't know. I still don't even think Torts and Sean Burke have any idea of how they want to go about with this. But right now, I mean, you've won 3 in a row, and 2 of them have involved Carter Hart, and it would not shock me if he got a couple more starts, but also with Aiden, he needs some starts down the stretch.
I think they both play 2 of the last 4. They'll split that. Does Aiden Hill play Seattle and Carter Hart play Colorado, and then just alternate the final 4? I think they're both going to play one of those 2 final home games to make sure everybody's make sure that somebody's not going in there on an extended rest. When the playoffs start, you don't want to be a week out, so you maximize that opportunity to get both guys in the final couple of home games. So it's going to be 2-3. One way or the other, but I do believe they'll split the final 4.
Yeah, that probably sounds about right. Though I would probably read too much into it, but I do think whoever starts that Colorado game on Saturday, I think that's probably going to be your indicator of where the goaltending pecking order is, because that's obviously the juggernaut of the league right now. So and whoever goes back in there, you're pretty much trusting them to be the guy that in probably the biggest game you're going to play the rest of the regular season, who you trust in that spot. And that one's going to be very interesting to see who gets the call there.
Danny Webster with us on Fox Sports Las Vegas, the VGK Insider Show. Ryan, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Danny, do you view goaltending right now as an open competition? Just in the sense of, we know what Aiden's done in the past. We know that Carter Hart was brought in here for a reason. And, goaltending has been kind of a question mark for Vegas all season long with injuries and all these different things. Like, over the final 5 games, do you view this as a true open competition for who you lean on game 1 of the playoffs?
I mean, you kind of have to, right? Like, I feel like this was going to be the one. Yeah, I agree. I feel like this was going to be the question since October 16th, when Carter Hart joined the team. This was going to be a question one way or another. Is, 1, do you trust Aiden to be the guy going deep into the season if he's available? And 2, what are you getting out of Carter Hart? And eventually, like 2A, 2B, where do you see Akira Schmidt in all this? And I think right now, unfortunately, we're kind of seeing where Akira lies in the pecking order here. But I do think that when Carter joined the team in October, this was going to be the question that was going to need to come up, and it was going to be based on performance, and it was going to be based on availability. And, to no fault of Aiden, he missed 3 months. Carter obviously missed 3 months, so now the door is still wide open. Now you have both of them back in here, and recency bias would have us indicate that Carter Hart has played his way to the number 1 role. But at the same time, like you said, Ryan, really cannot overlook what Aiden has done. I think Aiden, as far as past pedigree, has put himself in the competition, or at least, in my view, put him as the one guy going into game 1 of the playoffs, just because of what he's done for you in the past. Now, obviously, you could look at 2 seasons ago where Logan Thompson ended up being the game 1 starter because of the way Aiden finished the regular season. So there are a lot of plays in that, but I do think that whoever the game 1 starter is, I would argue that there isn't really that long of a leash based on either option you go for, because you have another guy right there that can come right in if one person isn't getting it done. So I would say right now the competition is wide open, and you can make a case for either one of those 2 right now based on recency performance and recency bias, but you can also make the case of the guy that won you the cup 3 years ago and what he's done in the postseason in the other 2 times.
I don't think anybody who's watched this franchise for 9 years is of the belief where it's going to be one goalie. Like it just doesn't work that way with the Vegas Golden Knights, where you just lock in with one goaltender.
No, I would agree with that, and I think obviously the situation dictates itself, right? Yeah. Like when you go back to 23, are we sitting here today if Laurent Brossoit never gets hurt? Like, is he the one that leads this team to the cup? I mean, there's the argument that can be made there. You look at the very next year. I don't think Logan played his way out of that spot going into Game 5 against Dallas at all. But they made the call because Aiden got them the cup, and they needed to get him. They needed their goalie, who has been there and done that, to win you crucial games 5 through 7 against Dallas. And obviously they came up 1 goal short. But yeah, there's that situation as well. And then last year, obviously Aiden got the lion's share of everything because of the uncertainty between Ilya Samsonov's health and Kira Schmidt coming in. You didn't know if he was going to be someone that you can throw in a situation, so you had Aiden. So it's definitely not a situation where you can go in and say you have one goaltender, you are the guy. There's going to be flux and fluidity throughout each way. This is going to be a very interesting situation compared to the last 3 postseasons, in that we are going into this for the first time, watching this team, covering this team, not really having any idea what the plan is for the net if this team eventually gets to the postseason, which I think at this point we all believe that they're on track to do.
9 days, there was a lot of questions that were out there about this group. Have those questions been answered now, and you just ride this wave into the playoffs, or is there something you're looking for in the final 5 games to be taken care of?
Yeah, I think this is going to go well into the playoffs. I don't think anything has been answered yet. And, part of it is maybe it's the strength of schedule. Maybe I'm a little bit I got the rose-colored glasses on with the strength of schedule, but I'm not really. I think we're going to need to see if this translates into a 7-game series. Like if you're going against Anaheim, Edmonton, or Utah in the first round, can this sustain over a 7-game series? And when you get to the next round, can you do it again? I think that for the immediate effect, it's worked out because they've won games. They've responded to the message. They've been able to build and build and build what they've been able to do in their game. But I think the fact that there was such a short runway between now and the playoffs, you kind of want to see what happens when the intensity revs up, and how does Torts' message get relayed when the games get tighter and when the stakes get higher. So I think they're taking a good step in the right direction. I think I want to see how they continue to build over these next 5 games, and when they get into the playoffs, what does that message and how do they continue to build off of that?
Thanks for this, and enjoy tonight's hockey game in Vancouver.
I will do so, guys. Thanks for having me.
There's Danny Webster with us on the BGK Insider Show every Tuesday throughout the season, and we thank him for his participation on your home of hockey, Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Danny Webster's the GOAT. Tremendous. Every week.
Well,
and he loves his open. So there's that.
You run it back. You go Mondays, Kelly McCrimmon. Tuesdays, Danny Webster. You got Brian McCormick and the Henderson Silver Knights on Wednesday. And John Shannon, the former executive producer of Hockey Night in Canada and our NHL Insider on Thursday. A lot to love about the VGK Insider Show as we point towards puck drop in Vancouver. Fifth last game for the Vegas Golden Knights, and they need a win against the 32nd ranked team in the National Hockey League. We'll tee up hour number 2, and we also will tell you about a couple of giveaways on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Stay with us.
You're listening to the VGK Insider Show.
Looking forward to the Vancouver Canucks and the Vegas Golden Knights meeting for the last time this year. The Golden Knights have won the first 2 encounters between these teams, and the game's in Vancouver, which is actually a good thing for Vegas because they played very well at Rogers Arena. It's the tour of Rogers arenas. Rogers Place in Edmonton, then over to Rogers Arena in Vancouver. A lot to get to in hour number 2. News and notes from around the National Hockey League with one-timers. And we're going to check in with Dave Starman, who's on the radio call for Westwood One this weekend of the Frozen Four Hockey Championship, which is going to take place over at T-Mobile Arena. Thursday is the semifinals, games at 2 o'clock and 5:30. UND against Wisconsin, and then Michigan against Denver, and the winners will face off against each other in the championship game on Saturday. You can hear the games Thursday on AM 1230 The Game, and that will then shift over to Raider Nation Radio for the NCAA Men's Hockey Championship on Saturday. We also have our word of the day as we go. Basically, we're going all in on these final 5, right? If you can win all 5 and finish, that would be an 8-game winning streak, the longest of the season for the Vegas Golden Knights to end the season. If you run the table, then you really put the pressure on. I think if you do that, you're going to win the division. You might have some wiggle room to drop a game or maybe one in overtime. 7 will cut it close. That's going to be right on the fringe. But if you push all your chips to the middle like a poker game, then you're looking pretty good.
Yeah, I think 5 wins gets you top spot in the division. I don't think the Oilers are going to run the table. I don't think the Anaheim Ducks are going to run the table. And if the Golden Knights run the table, then they win the division.
So it's a high-stake poker game between the Ducks, the Oilers, and the Vegas Golden Knights. So in that theme, can we make that today's word of the day? I always have to ask you because I don't have the authority just to sign off on that. I'll come up with some great ideas, but they won't give me the keys to be able to start the car. So will you grant me permission to go with poker as the word of the day?
You know what? I'm all in today as well. So we will go with poker. Poker will be the word of the day. Fox Sports Las Vegas wants you to hit the jackpot with our code word of the day. You could win $2,026 by listening for that daily code word and texting it to 702-876-1340. And if you were just listening, as you should have been, poker is the word of the day. P-O-K-E-R. Poker. Text that to 702-876-1340, and you're in the running to win the jackpot thanks to Lotus Broadcasting, Paul Padala, and Fox Sports Las Vegas. Poker is the word of the day.
You will get a response, an automatic text response to the word of the day if you submit it correctly. So look for that. If you don't get that right back to you, then you've done something wrong. I would like to be able to just make up the word of the day on my own and not have to bounce it off you guys. But I'll maybe that's I couldn't have my meeting today with the Boston because it was it was a game day, even though that was on the schedule. I hope they weren't waiting for me or aren't waiting for me right now. But that'll be on my list of things when I do meet with the higher ups. Can I get authority to just make up my own words of the day as we go along here?
I feel like you have made up the code word of the day the last 3 or 4 days.
No, but you've had to agree with me. You've had to sign off.
I'm gonna push back against it. Doesn't matter to me what the code word is.
Well, and I'm brilliant.
If you think I've got the authority,
you shouldn't be pushing back anyway.
Right.
You know.
Sure.
Some great text coming in. Tom says, "Poker? ? Yes." Yes, poker. But don't put the question mark in. Don't put the question mark in. All right? Just simply poker.
Yep, just poker.
Sonia texts in and says, I say the Golden Knights are going to go on a 20-game winning streak. Well, that would be impressive. Won't go through undefeated if it's a 20-game streak, because 8 of them would be going up into the Stanley Cup playoffs, or the final 8 of the regular season. Dave Starman next. The Frozen Four and more from John Tortorella next on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Live from the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios.
Let's walk again in front. Score! It's Riley Smith.
This is the VGK Insiders Show.
Anderson using the near boards, trying to send it back out. Now Lazard misses the open net wide, but the Knights will win the race. And a shot into the goal. An empty netter from deep on the right side. It's the first Golden Knights goal for Cole Smith.
With Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace.
The crowd to its feet here at T-Mobile Arena. They are back in the win column. John Tortorella wins in his Golden Knights coaching debut. Vegas 4, Vancouver 2.
On Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Entering the home stretch of the National Hockey League season, 5 games to go for all the principals in the Pacific Division. Anaheim, Edmonton, 1 point ahead of the Vegas Golden Knights in the battle for first place, and all 3 teams are on the ice tonight. We'll set you up. More detail about the playoff race and one-timer, news and notes from around the National Hockey League still to come. We'll also be joined by Dave Starman. He's going to work the radio broadcast of the NCAA Frozen Four over at T-Mobile Arena coming up on Thursday, the semifinals between Michigan and Denver, UND and Wisconsin, University of North Dakota, for those that are unaware of the acronym there. So Dave Starman's going to talk to us about who will vie for the national championship on Saturday on the Las Vegas Strip. Darren Millard along with Ryan Wallace and Jared Justice. It's the VGK Insider Show. The Golden Knights trying to make it 4 wins in a row under John Tortorella. You'll hear from him in just a little bit. Golden Knights have continually got better, period by period, game by game, under Tortorella. They had 2 days off going into this one, so it's kind of the first test. They're out of the regular rhythm. They got to just find it again. It's like when you're playing golf and then you don't play for 3 or 4 days. You got to find that swing again. That's what the Golden Knights are after tonight.
Yeah, and I think for Vegas, there's some positive to pull out of the fact that they haven't played a game in a couple of days. You're able to get a little bit of extra rest, a little bit of extra recovery, especially with 5 games remaining in the regular season. But they were playing so well. When that's happening, when you're winning games, when you're in the rhythm and getting 2 points, you want to just continue on that path. So, for the Golden Knights, they were able to take advantage of a little bit of rest, and hopefully they're able to hit the ground running in the first period against the Vancouver Canucks tonight.
The Anaheim Ducks are in action tonight. They will host the Nashville Predators, who are a very desperate team trying to wiggle their way into the Stanley Cup playoffs. And the Edmonton Oilers will take on the Utah Hockey Club, our good old Utahns. The thing about the team in Salt Lake is they're in a playoff spot right now, but they're not locked in. They're kind of in between. So it'd be a mammoth game for them to win. But if they lose, all of a sudden they're looking over their shoulder, and Edmonton would like a performance. So those 2 games, the Golden Knights' biggest competitors in this chase for first place, both have challenges in the form of their opposition who need these points as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Los Angeles Kings have made it a little bit more uncomfortable for Utah. They're 3 points back in that second wild card spot. The Nashville Predators are a point behind the Kings. They obviously feel like they can go on a bit of a run. So while you look at it from an Anaheim perspective and an Edmonton perspective, understanding that they need and want victories, they need and want 2 points, I'd make the argument that it means more, and it's you can get more desperate on the Utah side of things and certainly on the Nashville side of things. So, again, if the Golden Knights are able to get some help from Utah and Nashville, and then they take care of their business against the Vancouver Canucks, it'll be Vegas looking down at everybody else at the end of the night.
And you've got this Anaheim team that has had wild swings this year, in whether it's success or whether it's on the other side as they try to find their footing in this National Hockey League playoff race. Are they ahead of schedule? maybe when it comes to challenging for first place, but at the start of the year, everybody did have them making a push for a Pacific Division postseason berth. We'll get back to the Golden Knights side of things in just a second, but it's Frozen Four week in Las Vegas. First time the Frozen Four coming to the Las Vegas Strip. Michigan, Denver, UND against Wisconsin, the two semifinals on Thursday, and Dave Starman's going to call it Westwood 1. Those games will be on AM 1230, the game on Thursday. 2 o'clock start, UND, Wisconsin, 5:30, Michigan and Denver, and then the final on Raider Nation Radio on Saturday. Here's Dave Starman, who joins us on the VGK Insider Show. Good afternoon, my friend.
Hey there, how are you guys?
Well, we're doing great. Darren Millard along with Ryan Wallace on the VGK Insider Show. Tell me, we got some powerhouses here in Michigan, Denver, UND. How did Wisconsin make their way into this mix, given where they were a year ago?
Well, I got to tell you, it's it's a unique Frozen Four. It's a special Frozen Four, and coming to a special place. And the great part is with all four of these teams, obviously you've got the four teams that have won the most national titles, but you have got some teams that have really made some wonderful comebacks in their ability to get there. And Wisconsin was a team whose program was really floundering for a little while. Well, floundering might be strong, but they were struggling. And Mike Hastings has come in and did for Wisconsin what he did at Minnesota State, and that is recruited a team that plays the style of game that he wants to play. Was obviously able to get a little bit more high-end talent in than he could for the Mavericks. And all of a sudden, you've got Wisconsin sitting at the top of the mountain here and looking for a chance who, I think most teams consider them an upset to win the whole thing, but my goodness, have they been good, and they've got every chance in the world to pull this off.
To that end, like when you think about Wisconsin in that game against North Dakota, like what needs to break their way, or what do they need to do in order to find a victory and get to the national championship game?
That's a great question. North Dakota, having done a lot of their games over the last 22 years, the one common link of every one of their teams through every one of their coaches is their dog-on-bone mentality. They are great on forechecks. They are great in the neutral zone. They just hunt pucks. They defend incredibly well. Generally, their penalty killing is terrific. Dane Jackson's run it for years, and I know he's turned it over a little bit now that he's the head coach. But I think for Wisconsin, the number one thing that they need to do against a younger team like North Dakota is make them chase the game. That's important. And watching Wisconsin, when they have a lead, they can be a very disciplined, methodical, structured team, which is how Mike Hastings likes to play the game. So if they can get North Dakota into a scenario where they're chasing the game, especially with probably half of the state of North Dakota being in Las Vegas watching this thing, I think the pressure starts to mount. And to me, that is the way to get North Dakota to potentially open up and play a style of game that they don't want to play. So the trick for Wisconsin is make sure that they're playing with the lead for 60 minutes.
I grew up on UND hockey on the other side of the border in Manitoba, watching Pat Sweeney call those games with Gino Gasparini and company, so I follow them very closely. Interesting, Dane Jackson, 2 wins away from a national championship. Brad Berry won it in his first year as head coach at UND, so there's a bit of a history of a guy taking over the program and being able to win it.
There's no question. Here's a great one for you, because as soon as I saw North Dakota make it, I was trying to think back, and I couldn't remember if it was 5 straight or 4 of the last 5, but it's 4 of the last 5 North Dakota coaches in their first year got the team to the Frozen Four. The only one that didn't was Dean Blaze, and they wound up winning 3 anyway. It's a remarkable culture that they have built there. The fan base is just unbelievable, and I just think that when it comes to UND, there's just a vibe about them where and I love their philosophy of we don't hang banners for participation. Like, they only hang championship banners in that place. And to me, that sets a great example for the younger guys. And Dane has kind of infected this team with his personality, which is great. I mean, he is one of the most intense guys I've ever met. He's fun, and he's funny, and he's a great guy to talk hockey with. But holy heck, is he intense. And I love the way that North Dakota has played this year, and just living up to, like I said, that dog-on-bone mentality where they challenge you for every inch of ice, every puck, and if you're going to go to the net on them, they're going to take a piece of skin on the way.
Dave Starman's with us. He's going to be on the radio call at Westwood 1 on Thursday with the 2 semifinals and the Frozen Four, and then the championship game on Saturday. The second semifinal, it's a like battle of titans. You get U of M against DU coming into this thing, and Michigan's obviously top-ranked team in the nation, but Denver's no slouches here. David Carl, the coach there, and if anybody can manufacture a win and strategize for a win, it's Dave Carl. Where do you see that semifinal?
This is a great one because their game a couple of years ago in Boston was an absolute classic. And I think when you take a look at these two teams, Michigan has got some Frozen Four pedigree, especially among its coaching staff and a couple of its players. Denver's got Frozen Four pedigree in the fact that they've won it. So you talk about two teams that are used to the bright lights, but Denver's got a little bit of that win in them with some of the players that are left over, including a guy like Rieger Lorenz, who has really come into his own this year. And Lorenz has been terrific for him. He is a draft pick of the Minnesota Wild, a second-round pick in 22, and his game has just slowly elevated through the time he has been at Denver, and he's played with some great players, and now he is sitting up on that top line where he has seen so many really good players who've matriculated on to pro hockey in the NHL play on, and he has absolutely run with the mantelpiece of that. So I think for Denver, they play a pretty straight-ahead style. The key this year for them is they are more a sum of their parts more than being top-heavy. They've gone to the Frozen Four top-heavy on a couple of occasions with different success levels. But now they're coming into the Frozen Four with a team that can go four lines deep, with a team that can run at you with 7D. They've got speed, they've got skill, but they don't have that Jack Devine like they had last year who just can manufacture a goal whenever he wants to. But they've got a really quick team. This kid, Brendan McMorrow, a draft pick of the LA Kings, has been terrific. And their big line with Lorenz, Salmonen, and Reeder has done some remarkable things this year, and they can make plays in any way, whether it's off the rush, offensive zone play, doesn't matter. If you put the puck on their stick, they're going to figure out a way to get a chance.
I'm lucky enough to work out of City National Arena at the facility for the Vegas Golden Knights, and to be at my desk today and hearing practice out there, and I thought, what does that sound? Because practices at elite level, whether it's VGK, HSK, or Division I college, it just sounds different than a normal rink. So I walked over and wondered who was out there, and there was Michigan working out after their arrival to Vegas, and I looked down, and Max Pacioretty's helping out the Wolverines.
Oh, it's funny. I remember coaching Max when he was a kid. He was on a couple of our summer teams, and I was coaching the New York Apple Corps right here on Long Island. And Max is just an encyclopedia of the game. He's a really smart guy. He's a really driven guy, and obviously was a tremendous player not only at Michigan but throughout his NHL career. And Michigan has always been one of those teams that's had a lot of jam in anything that they do. They're a loud team. They're a gregarious team. They're a confident team. They wear that logo with pride. They understand what it's all about. And to me, Michigan is not only a good team, they're a good show also. And I say that as a compliment. And their head coach, Brandon Naurato, is a guy that always wanted to be a coach. Once he stopped playing, always wanted to be a coach. And was a great skills coach at the NHL level with the Detroit Red Wings. And he's brought that skill-based philosophy with him to Michigan. And the thing that he does so well is incorporate the what you need into the what is needed at that moment for each of his players. So his ability to create individual development plans for his entire roster and then have the staff around him that can make it happen is a huge deal. And having guys like Kevin Ryder and Max Pacioretty on his staff certainly increased his ability to be a good head coach.
I don't know Naurato. How long has he been there?
Naurato's been, I think he's now in his fifth season.
Okay.
He is a beauty. I mean, I love the kid. I remember doing his games when he played there. And this is a kid who could score from the locker room if he wanted to. I mean, he had an unbelievable shot, was always a great skilled player, really good skater, but was just not an NHL guy. I mean, he had some success as a pro, but he wasn't an NHL player. So, like most guys do, retires, gets into coaching, and he always used to joke with his buddies, I want to coach the Red Wings. Like, that was his goal ever since he took off his skates. And he's a driven guy who's a skill-based coach. And when you talk to him about developing skills, teaching skills, the creation of the skilled player, he is as smart as anybody out there. And whereas Michigan plays well as a team, when you look at them in terms of their individual skill level, it's really remarkable some of the things that their players can do.
All right, Dave, so we obviously get the two matchups on Thursday. Looking ahead to the national championship game, who do you expect to be there and why?
That's a great question. I'm usually a guy that doesn't make a lot of predictions, but I would tell you this. I think if North Dakota gets there, it's going to be on the strength of how well they can play defensively. It's a really good decor that's got depth to it, that can create some plays. Their goaltender, Spunar, has been terrific this year, but I think they're a team that defends so hard that they really make life miserable for you when you're trying to play below the dots and underneath or inside the tops of the circles, inside the dots, that kind of area. So I think for UND, it's all about how well they defend and can they keep Wisconsin at bay. Now, conversely, for Wisconsin, a team that can really drive at you with depth, with speed, can make plays out of nothing. This is a team where if they, once again, play with the lead and get North Dakota to have to loosen up a little bit, that, to me, gets Wisconsin in there. In the other matchup, because Michigan on paper should be the better team. They should be the deeper team. They should be the more skilled team. Denver may be the more complete team. And the one thing I've learned with Denver over all of these years, and I've said it on a number of occasions when they get this far, Denver may not have the best players in this tournament, but Denver might have the best team in this tournament. And generally the best team wins this whole thing. So keep an eye on that. The greatness of Michigan in terms of the ability to do highlight reel things versus the methodical, patient, poised structure of Denver. If Denver's structure holds up, I think they win. If Michigan's skill takes over, they win.
We got a couple of Hobie Baker winners in and around the office with Jack Eichel and George McPhee, the president of hockey operations with the Vegas Golden Knights. Who's going to win this year's version of college hockey's best player?
This is no disrespect to the other two, but if Max Plant doesn't win this thing, there should be an investigation. This guy was unbelievable this year, and what he did with the Minnesota Duluth team that had missed the tournament for a couple of years before the season started, and I know a lot of this because my son was part of the hockey operations department at UMD, but Scott Sandelin basically told the Plant brothers, he said, listen, this is your, and Shagave said, this is your team. How you go, we go. But this is your team. You need to lead it. You need to be the best players on it, and we're going to follow you. And they grabbed that from day one and went with it. And this was a team that had a lot of youth, some inexperience. They weren't exactly sure where they stood in the conference. And what Max did all year long as a leader on this team, both in the locker room, on the ice, and everywhere else you can be, I think his season has been unbelievable. So my feeling is Max is going to win this thing.
Like listening to you on the Ranger broadcast. You enjoying that this year?
Oh, my gosh, has that been unbelievable. My wife covered the Red Wings for 10 years, and she's from Detroit. And she said to me when I got the job, Dave, I know you love the college hockey thing and the World Juniors and all that stuff, but there's nothing like covering your hometown team. And, boy, did she hit that nail on the head. And it has just been unbelievable. For a kid who grew up watching games at Madison Square Garden and listening to Sal Messina, who was the analyst at the time on radio with Marv Albert, do games, to have Kenny Albert, his son, who's one of my best friends, next to me in the TV booth and be doing what Sal did there are days I wake up and still think it's a dream. It's been amazing.
And you don't have to pay to get in.
In New York, that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, parking's still going to cost you a couple of shekels, but at least you get in for free. Thanks, Dave. Have a great call on Thursday. Really looking forward to it.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
There's Dave Starman. He's going to be on the call on Westwood 1 on AM 1230, the game for the semifinals of the Frozen Four. UND against Wisconsin. North Dakota is my pick there. Michigan against Denver. I'm saddling up with DU and David Carl in that one. So an upset for Denver to get to the championship game. And then the final will take place on Saturday. And you can listen to that one on Raider Nation Radio. Congratulations to Michael, who was our grand prize winner. We've been qualifying people all week long for a chance to win tickets to the Frozen Four. He's got tickets to both semifinals and the championship game.
Yeah, not a bad thing for Michael, our winner. He's going to get to experience college hockey at the highest level over the next really 4 or 5 days. So good on Michael. Well done.
Semifinals on Thursday. Hobie Baker is announced on Friday, and then the championship game on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Las Vegas, the center of the college hockey scene. The Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Vancouver Canucks tonight. A big one for John Tortorella, trying to run his record to 4-0. Here's the head coach after today's morning skate at Rogers Arena.
What are your goals for these last 5 games?
Continue. Take each and every day try to be the best we can be. It's such a short window right now. I think they have an idea of it's a veteran group. They get it. They know where they're at. We're going to do it together and just try to be the best we can be each and every day.
You know, we asked you this like after your first day, what did you do yesterday? But everything has been so compressed, so I'm sorry to do it again, but what did you do yesterday?
Yesterday was a day, what coaches do on days off is video. We're always preparing for the next day. It's kind of weird at this time of year having 2 days in between. I got together with the coaches. We haven't even had a chance to have dinner together, so we had a chance last night, in fact, the past couple of nights, to have dinner. And I ask questions. I just keep on asking questions in the players, and just trying to make this as easy to transition. As I've said from the get-go, there really didn't need to be much of a transition. I know it's a different coach, but I just don't want us to be doing too much and changing too many things. So a lot of conversation on that.
Names on paper are one thing, but you have an experienced guy. You've been able to watch this team play, see these players. Is this a contending team in your view?
Yeah, I'm not making predictions. I know I see some good things happening. I think some of the confidence is coming back. I think it's important to play with a swagger. Some of the things we've gone through, that Edmonton game was a pretty big game for us, and I saw us backing one another up. I saw some players just feeling good about themselves. We've got some scoring right down through the lineup. It's an important time of the year. We need everybody to contribute, and the biggest thing for me is just make sure we have the right attitude. It isn't the time of year to coach at them. It's the time of year to coach with them. And we're going to try to do it together. Wherever we go, we're going to do it together.
John, how different is it coming in at this stage of the season and the machination of having a veteran team compared to a young team like you have in Philadelphia? Does it make it easier?
Well, there are so many things that are done with this team already that we can just fast forward. And to me, the biggest thing is, I just brought in a couple of points, a couple of mindset points with this team, and I've kind of leaned on the team themselves, the veteran guys themselves, on what we need. What are you looking for? We made a couple adjustments within the X's and O's, not something really big, but for me it was the mindset of I don't want our team to be afraid to make a mistake. I want us to be an aggressive team. I want us a team to be up the ice, not only with the puck, without it. And little by little, I think we've gotten there, and we just got to continue to get better. I answer your questions. I'm trying to come up with something to say. I'll tell you right now, the only thing that my job is to allow these guys to play, try to guide them on the right road that we think we need them to be, and then they take over. And some things happened in the Edmonton game when we had to back one another up. I liked what I saw there. This time of year, that's very important. Just a little bit of a gang mentality. Some really good things happen there, so that's what we're trying to build.
You had a very talented team in Tampa Bay. How does this talent level compare to the one that you took to a Stanley Cup?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. The game was played differently. It was a younger talent in Tampa. Quite honestly, we didn't even know what we were doing. It was a young coaching staff. It was a young team that kind of found its way and really found a confidence level. The second half of that year, I remember I was just opening the gate and letting them play because they felt so good about themselves. And I had some really good goaltending. Yeah, so this is a little bit different. It's a more veteran team. So to me, I think it's important when you're dealing with this type of team to let them know you trust them. I trust the team. I can already see that. I can trust this team into where it's not always being in the room and explaining this, that, the other thing. There's a mindset I like the team to have, and that's what we're building. That's the number one priority for me, is the mindset of how we're going to attack this part of the season and hopefully a chance to get going in the second season.
Because this is unfamiliar territory coming in so late, did you reach out to anybody to pick anyone else's brain as
No.
to go do it?
No, I didn't have enough time. It happened so quickly. I'm doing that now, not only with my coaching staff, with Kelly, George, just beginning to get my medical people on the road here, because you're in the locker room more, get to know the conditioning guys. I'm still putting names on people, so that I'm asking questions, but I do have a strong conviction in the direction I like to see the team to play, the style of play, and so we'll try to mesh it together.
I've always said to people that I'm such a big fan of you as a person and what you've done outside of this game, but also how much more are you maybe enjoying this, maybe savoring it? I mean, is there any part of that, John?
Yeah, I feel I'm very fortunate to come into a situation like this where this team is ready, right? They've won. They just won a couple of years ago. And a lot of people are around that won. That stuff's kind of, they know what to do, and to get an opportunity to be involved and be with a veteran group that just fresh off a win a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, it helps. And it's a little bit different for me because my last couple of stops, it's been building and teaching young kids what it is to be a pro, the smaller things. That's solved here. The coaches that have come before me, that's solved here with this club. So we're looking on to other things, and different, but very fortunate to have the opportunity.
In depth with John Tortorella ahead of tonight's game against the Vancouver Canucks. Of course, Vancouver was one of his stops, so Tort's well known in and around Rogers Arena, and to the media and a lot of the people that work at that facility. I loved his quote. His most important focus is right attitude. And then it's not the right time of the year to coach at them, but coach with them. So you're not coaching them, you're coaching with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the big key for Torts, and it's really been the constant theme since he's gotten here, is mindset, is, getting in the trenches with the team and figuring it out together, right? Like, I mean, he just touched on it, right? Like there are little things you need to teach younger players in the league to be a professional, to be a good pro. That's not the case here. Right now, it's all about understanding how to try to find a way to maximize the talent that's on this roster and on this team. And that's really the goal for John Tortorella, to work on the mindset to get this team back to where they want to be.
We've all started new jobs. You kind of go through that phase where you're just trying to remember a new name every day.
Yeah.
And maybe you can get two, and what do those people do? What is that person responsible for? It's kind of humbling to hear somebody at that level going through the same thing.
Yeah, it's not always an easy transition. It's not always an easy thing to do, but John Tortorella, very buttoned up, and I'd say 3 wins. He's done a pretty good job so far.
Trying to become the first Vegas Golden Knights head coach to win his first 4 games. So one-timers, news and notes from around the National Hockey League on a very important night in the NHL. That's to come.
Carlson left corner, centered, one-timer, score!
It's time for One-Timers. A quick look at news and notes from around the National Hockey League. Brought to you by Paul Pata Law. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
Got a chance to see Desert Dogs play. So before we get into one-timers, let's offer up a chance to let people go over to Lee's Family Forum.
Yeah, if you want to see the Desert Dogs, and I will figure out exactly when that game will be played, but if you want to go see the Desert Dogs, 702-876-1340. It'll be April 18th, the Desert Dogs. 702-876-1340. Let's go caller number 3. Caller number 3, you're a winner.
We got some action going on tonight in the National Hockey League. There's 11 games. All 11 have playoff implications. So it could range from first overall right on down to wild card 2 in both sides of the National Hockey League. Let's start with action that is underway. Montreal fighting it out with Tampa Bay and Buffalo for first place in the Atlantic Division. The Canadiens trailing 2-1 against the Florida Panthers. Florida Panthers have upset a couple of teams down the stretch here, making things interesting. They're a little hard to predict right now. 2-time Stanley Cup champions, not going to make the playoffs. Do you want to be playing them during garbage time, during their garbage time down the stretch? Not at all.
No, because they will relish the opportunity to like ruin someone's season. Like that's the petty level of the Florida Panthers. Like, you don't think they'd love to be the team that puts the final nail in the coffin of, say, the New York Islanders, the Ottawa Senators, or the Montreal Canadiens, whatever it might end up being. But the fact of the matter is, like, they will relish the opportunity. Montreal's already in, but they will relish the opportunity to prevent a team from making the playoffs. They would love that. They would love it.
The things to watch on the Montreal side, along with trying to win the division title with the in the Atlantic Division, is 50 goals for Cole Caulfield.
Yep.
And Nick Suzuki chasing a 100-point season. And Mats Naslund was the last guy to have a 100-point season for the Montreal Canadiens, I think in 1986.
Wow.
Yeah, Cole Caulfield, 50 goals. That's what he's looking at. He's got 49 right now. Has not scored tonight. So just a little bit of history by one of the more majestic franchises in the National Hockey League. So Montreal right now, if you look at the standings in that Atlantic Division, are 2 points back of Buffalo and Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay Lightning are on the ice right now, goalless against the Ottawa Senators in the second period. Really important game for the Ottawa Senators, who are in that Atlantic Division, but also trying to nail down a wild card spot. They're not going to get a top three in the division, but they enter tonight with a 1-point lead of the New York Islanders and a 2-point edge over the Detroit Red Wings and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Pivotal game for the Ottawa Senators. Mentioned the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Detroit Red Wings. Both teams 2 points out of a playoff spot, and they're playing each other. This is as close as you get to playoff vibe in the National Hockey League regular season. And one of my pet peeves about NHL announcers is it's a playoff atmosphere inside this whatever arena. Mm-hmm. And it's never that case. You might have a spicy game. You might have a competitive game, but there's such a difference and the regular season is fantastic in the NHL, certainly better than the NBA, but there's such an uptick between the regular season and the playoffs. It's not comparable. This, I would grant an exception to, because it really is a playoff game for these two teams. The worst case scenario for these two would be to lose in regulation. But you really do. You could be content with an overtime loss, but it's going to still leave you chasing. You do need 2 points between the Blue Jackets and the Red Wings, and both have faltered down the stretch, and they're trying to find some confidence in this game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you want to win in regulation if you're one of the two, like Columbus or Detroit. They would love.
But you can't afford to lose in regulation.
But yeah, you're right. You cannot afford to drop this one in regulation on either side of the ledger, because it almost feels like, that's a nail in a coffin type of loss for whoever's on the receiving end. So, fortunately, Columbus and Detroit, they've got the memo. It's 2-2 in the second period.
The Philadelphia Flyers enter tonight with a 2-point lead on a playoff spot, but they're chasing two sides. They're chasing third place in the Metropolitan, and they're also alive in the wild card. So there's two avenues to go for the Philadelphia Flyers, who are even with Ottawa for the final playoff spot if you're looking at a wild card, but they're also inside the cut line in the Metropolitan Division. And they are playing tonight, and they've had a really nice run lately. And they're up on the New Jersey Devils, who fired their general manager yesterday and look like they're just trying to get out of Dodge and finish off this season. Tyson Forrester has scored a couple of goals. Good to see him back. Trevor Zegras has also scored a pair of goals, 24 and 25 for Zegras, and the Flyers have a nice, comfortable 4-1 lead. I didn't expect the Flyers to be in a playoff position at the end of things, but they're surprising me. They didn't sacrifice anything in the deadline. They were patient. They stuck to the plan. They didn't try to speed it up. I think I would have tried a little bit, but they were really committed to how they were going to go. Chatted with Keith Jones, the president of hockey operations on 100% Hockey earlier this week, and just a really cool story happening with the Philadelphia Flyers, who, if they can win tonight, will maintain that sole possession of a playoff spot in the Metropolitan Division.
Yeah, I mean, a victory for Philadelphia here, and they are up 4-1 at the end of 2, would be massive for them and bring them to 92 points. It'd be 3 wins in a row. They're 7-3-0 in their last 10 games. Like, this stretch for Philly has been tremendous. And, I mean, listen, I'm not counting my chickens before they're hatched, but you want to give me Pittsburgh, Philadelphia in the first round of the playoffs? I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, it looks like Pittsburgh's made it, barring total
It's
collapse.
comfortable-ish. Yeah,
looks like Boston's going to make it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're down 5-3 tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes, but they're in a good spot right now. A couple of teams that have surprised us this year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Listen, I think that, you start to think about the Boston Bruins and what they were able to do last year. They were able to move some pieces out. They were able to kind of retool on the fly. And they've been, at times, streaky, but more often than not, they've been able to string together a lot of victories. And so for the Bruins, like, to get right back into that spot where they're in the playoffs and comfortably, to a certain degree, in that wild card spot, they're going to make it. And they're going to get right back to the postseason. And it has not been a stretch where they have had too much agony just the 1 year out of the postseason, retool quick, and get right back in.
I'll never hear the word agony and not think of ABC's Wild World of Sports and that opening. Colorado has a 1-0 lead on the St. Louis Blues. Shots there, 14-2 in favor of the Avalanche. Colorado can wrap up the President's Trophy with a whole bunch of scenarios. I'd have a better chance of putting together my buddy Greg's airplane than I would be to explain all the different things that have to fall in favor of the Colorado Avalanche to lock up the President's Trophy tonight. But it can happen if things fall their way. Also, Greg, if I'm putting together your airplane, don't fly it. Just telling you right now. You might not even be able to taxi. so
Darren,
it might not be a bad thing for you. Like, you might be safe because it won't be able to get off the ground. You will save money on fuel.
I wouldn't trust you to make a paper airplane.
No, I'm pretty good at the paper airplane side of things.
Okay,
so.
yeah. Sure you
Flames against the Stars tonight. Dallas just trying to establish some confidence in their playoff implications there, but they're pretty set. Wild trail the Seattle Kraken 2-1. Seattle still thinks they can get in, but boy, they have to really almost run the table and then get some help. And final few games tonight all involves the Pacific Division race. Oilers are in Salt Lake against the Mammoth. Mm-hmm. Golden Knights, Vancouver. We know the impact that John Tortorella has had there, and the Predators against the Ducks. Now, here's the thing for the Ducks and the Predators. Anaheim's trying to stop a slide right now, and the Nashville Predators entered this game 1 point out of a playoff spot with 5 games to go.
Yeah.
Can the Nashville Predators do that? Now, they're competing against Los Angeles, San Jose, Winnipeg, St. Louis, Seattle. Seattle, St. Louis, Winnipeg, they're in tough. Mm-hmm. But San Jose has a game in hand. If they win that, they're tied for a playoff spot. Like, it's a pickup between the Kings, Preds, and Sharks.
I would agree with that. I think that whichever team catches the best hot streak down the stretch is the team that's in. Like,
LA's got it going right now. So does San Jose.
Yeah, if they continue to win games, like, listen, it might come down to, does one of those 3 teams run the table, right? Like, does LA win out? Does San Jose win out? Does Nashville win out? Like, I think the team, obviously with the best record down the stretch is going to be the team that ends up in, and I couldn't tell you who it's going to be. I think San Jose would be a really fun story. LA would be interesting just because it's Anze Kopitar's final season in the National Hockey League. And then the Nashville Predators, they were sellers at the trade deadline. If they're able to get themselves in, that'd be a great story for them too. So whichever of those three teams gets hot is the one that goes in.
Who doesn't Colorado want to play? I'm saying Winnipeg. If Winnipeg,
well, they certainly, they don't want to play Winnipeg. I think they're comfortable with L.A., Nashville, or San Jose. Like, of all the teams that are there, and if we're like including St. Louis and Seattle and Winnipeg in the mix, I think there's only one team that Colorado is wary of in the first round, and that's the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, I'd be a little concerned about Los Angeles. We're a veteran team. They made some adjustments, and they're playing really good hockey. Arguably their best hockey, and they're starting to win at home. Mm-hmm. That's the thing about Los Angeles has held them back all year. They're starting to win at home right now, and that would be something. If they figured that out, then you're talking a different story with a team that we expect at the start of the year to be in the mix for a top 3 spot in the Pacific Division. They're not far off that because it's been so competitive in the Pacific Division this year. But Los Angeles, I would fit into that mix. Nashville is my biggest wild card, where I don't know which team would show up in that. But that's a team with some pretty significant pieces that might strike lightning in the bottom. Like, if Nashville went on some kind of Cinderella playoff run and got to a third round, it wouldn't blow my mind, and it wouldn't surprise me if they went out in 3.
Sure, like there's no in between there. Like, I don't think, like, the Predators are either, if they get in and they play Colorado, they are either winning that series or, in like 6 games, 7 games, I suppose, or they're getting swept. Like, there's no in between here. There's no like 5-game meh scenario. It's either one or the other. And I don't know. I don't know that I buy Nashville that much. I think I lean more toward, if they get in, they're getting swept by Colorado. L.A. might just have a psychological boost having to not play the Edmonton Oilers, but I guess the other side of the coin is you just get to play a juggernaut in Colorado.
But they're not going to be intimidated. I'll tell you that.
Well, no, they shouldn't be, right? They shouldn't be. So
well, no, but some teams would be. But they just went up against Connor McDavid each of the last 3. So that's
what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah. we're used to this. We're used to playing elite talent.
Right. Okay. So it's not it's not Connor now. It's Nathan McKinnon. We've got to find a way to shut him down. And and
they've arguably been successful in staying right with elite talent.
In the first 3 or 4 games every year, they have done a great job. For whatever reason, the last couple of years, the Oilers have
bad challenge.
Well, okay, that's fine. That's last year, but I'm talking about the previous couple of seasons. They have been able to show out well in the first couple, 2-3 games, and then the Oilers turn it on, and it's too much for LA.
And they're scoring goals now. They're scoring goals.
Just getting away from the matchup against Edmonton might rejuvenate Los Angeles, might give them the belief that they can get out and create an upset. And, quite frankly, that's what happens to teams that go through a year like Colorado had. Like, they've been tremendous wire to wire. They've had little pockets of adversity, but not a ton. Upsets happen for a reason, and they happen to teams like that because of those things. So maybe LA strikes a little bit of fear in Colorado too.
Here's a weird one for you. The New York Islanders don't play again until Thursday.
Yeah.
Pete DeBoer gets 3 days of practice, the new head coach of the New York Islanders.
Yeah.
To prepare for 4 games. I've never heard of that before, where you get as many practices lead up to as many games as you have left. But that's the situation for the New York Islanders. They are 1 point out of a playoff spot. Could be more than that by the time they eventually get back to action. Vegas against Vancouver tonight. Pregame shows coming up on Fox Sports Las Vegas. We'll have the TV show over on Scripps Sports at 6:30. Just a programming note, there is no VGK Insider show tomorrow on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Why are we not on the air?
A's baseball.
A's baseball. Just a plug for A's baseball. They will take over the airways tomorrow. We will be back with you on Thursday to resume this very hectic, chaotic sprint to the finish in the National Hockey League. The Vegas Golden Knights will try to be adding to their win total tonight, and if things go their way with the Edmonton Oilers and the Anaheim Ducks both in action, it could be a Vegas Golden Knights team that's in first place by Thursday when we come back.
Yeah, if you are a Golden Knights fan, go Utah, go Nashville, and go Vegas.
See, Utah, you don't know what you're going to get. And the team in Salt Lake, they've got some swagger to them. They're fun to watch. I like what they did at the trade deadline. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Dave Starman, Danny Webster, and of course you for listening to the VGK Insider Show. It's the home of hockey in the Las Vegas Valley. Fox Sports, Las Vegas. Go Knights, go.